Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
I am kind of on the same line of thought as Mikey, and thank you, Mikey, wherever you went. That was incredible. I really, really enjoyed that. Can you guys see that well enough, or should we turn the slide off too?
Looks good.
Is that better? Yeah?
You're not as...
Now we can't see you, though.
Yeah, I want to see you.
There you go.
Okay, great.
So I want to talk a little bit about the passion as a potentially universal voice, and to do that I'm going to talk about the universe a little bit, kind of along the same lines as Mikey. The universe has hundreds of billions of galaxies in it, not entirely unlike this one. This galaxy is really similar to our Milky Way galaxy, which has an estimated 200 to 400 billion solar systems in it. Solar systems kind of like that one. And inside of the center of every solar system is a star, a sun. Most common suns are yellow, like our yellow star. And there's some really interesting things that are happening inside of that. There's a whole lot of hydrogen that's inside of a yellow star. And this is what Mikey was talking about a little bit earlier. We're on the same wavelength here. Hydrogen is the lightest element, it's the most abundant element, and it has the atomic number 1. What that means is that it has one proton that's positively charged in the center, and it has one negatively charged electron. So there's a whole bunch of hydrogen in the sun. And the hydrogen is careening around through the sun at an unprecedented rate, crashing into itself. And stay with me here, I know this is a little wordy, but when it collides, it creates fusion, and fusion means that some of the matter is converted into light and into heat, and that's why we feel the heat from the sun that's happening in our sun right now. And what else is interesting about that is that when they collide, when nuclear fusion happens, now it becomes helium. So you have 2 protons in the center and 2 electrons. And this continues to happen. When the hydrogen's all used up, then you have a whole bunch of helium, and helium eventually fuses and creates carbon. Carbon is number 6 on the atomic scale. It has number 6 atomic number, and it's interesting to us because carbon is the basis for all life on Earth. This helium joins with carbon, it makes oxygen. This continues on and on. It makes heavier and heavier elements until you hit iron. And iron's different because the nuclei is more tightly bound than the elements before. And it's the first element that when fusion happens, it doesn't release any more energy. So if fusion was to continue to happen, we wouldn't get any more of the heat and light that we get from the sun. So when a large percentage of the sun's core becomes iron, it is attracted to itself, and it kind of collapses in on itself. At the same time, it becomes very unstable. And so the star will ultimately explode. And when it does, it creates enough energy for the iron to go past the elements that are on the outer edge of the star and create yet heavier elements. That's interesting to us because, as Mikey was saying, these go careening out into the universe for hundreds of billions of years, and eventually, like elements, coalesce, and they start to form things like planets. And if the conditions are right, they make planets like this one. And if the conditions are right for life, which as far as we know, so far we understand the conditions being right, meaning that there's, water, that's our version. Oops. Hold on, let's go back here. So if there's enough water, plus the right distance from the sun, then amoebas happen. Little happy amoebas. There might be some lightning in there. I don't know, but this is the general idea. And once in a while, amoebas get these really great ideas. And they're like, you know, it'd be a really great idea to crawl our asses out of the ocean and make some legs. And so they do, and once that process is started, why not keep crawling our way out of the ocean and make more legs, and they grow into squid-faced alien bipeds, maybe, or maybe humans. I don't know. And so what this means is what Mike was talking about earlier, is that you and I and squid-faced aliens, we're all literally stardust, literally formed from stardust, and that's impactful. That's fascinating and lovely. So let's go to another part of the universe. And let's go look at something that's a little bit more familiar to us. So, here's our Earth. Oh, look. There's us. San Francisco. They love us. We love ourselves. Well done. Self-love. But let's not talk about these humans. Let's talk about some other humans. Let's go somewhere else on the Earth. Let's talk about this girl and her giant heart. If we were going to look inside of her giant heart, we would find a bunch of cells. And I want to talk for a little bit about cells. The Earth is teeming with cells. There's 100 trillions of cells in your body. They perform thousands of functions. They come in all shapes and sizes. They work together to form all the living tissue. We have a certain criteria for what it means to be alive. And some of that stuff is like growth, adaptation, reproduction. Cells are definitely alive. They meet that criteria. We consider them alive. You might even begin to be able to argue that cells are sentient in their own right. They seem to have their own motivation, and they maneuver around doing all sorts of fascinating things that I really need them to do. And maybe they know why, maybe they don't. I don't know. But they seem to be kind of unaware of that their motivations are crucial to the survival of me, this other force. And I find that really interesting because similarly, we're autonomous sections of the universe, and maybe what if the universe also needs me to fulfill a certain function? Just like I really depend on my cells to do their thing, and I'm really glad that they do it. How would the universe ever talk to me about that? How would the universe impress that idea on me, that it needs me to maneuver a certain direction in order to, participate in conscious evolution, like Mikey was describing before? I'm gonna propose that maybe it's through a sense of passion, that it's that feeling that you have where you're like, I just have to do that thing. I have to be that person. That's who I am. I don't know why. I don't really need to know why. I need to. That's me. And the more you become self-actualized and the more profoundly you step into that, the more beautiful your passion feels. And we've all kind of felt that feeling of just like really driving farther and farther into our passion. And so I would like to propose that everybody here, and I'd like to encourage everyone to follow your bliss, because maybe it's your universal role. Thanks.
Ah!